You are bleeding out in front of everyone, and you do not even realize it. Every time you feel that desperate itch to fill a silence, every time you over-explain your actions to people who do not care, and every time you laugh nervously to break the tension, you are handing them the keys to your kingdom. You are a glass house in a world of stone throwers. You think your words are building bridges, but they are actually digging your grave. You feel weak because you are loud. You are loud because you are afraid. Niccolò Machiavelli understood 5 centuries ago that the man who speaks the most is the man who reveals his boundaries, his fears, and his price. Today, we are going to perform surgery on your social desperation. We are going to kill the version of you that seeks validation through noise. A harmless man is not a virtuous man. A truly powerful man is a dangerous man who has his darkness under voluntary control. The silence is not a void. It is a vacuum that sucks the truth out of your enemies. Today, you stop being the jester. Today, you become the architect. Picture this. You are sitting across from someone who owes you money, an explanation, or respect. They finish their pathetic excuse, and now there is silence. Your amygdala, that ancient reptilian alarm system in your brain, starts screaming. Fill the gap. Say something. Anything. Laugh it off. Agree. Compromise. This is the biological trap that keeps you weak. But you do not move. You do not blink. You hold eye contact like a predator watching wounded prey. The silence stretches. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. 15. The air becomes heavy. Their breathing changes. They shift in their seat. And then it happens. They start talking again. But this time, they tell you the truth. Why does this work? Because human beings are social creatures wired for reciprocity. When you refuse to fill the void, their mirror neurons fire in panic. Their prefrontal cortex interprets your silence as rejection, as danger, as the ultimate social punishment. Their cortisol spikes. Their survival brain takes over and does what it has done for 200,000 years. It tries to appease the threat. It confesses. Machiavelli wrote that the wise man does more by listening than the fool does by speaking. You are not here to be liked. You are here to extract information. Every time you rush to comfort someone with words, you lose leverage. Every time you fill the silence, you reveal your cards. This is the vacuum of truth. You must train yourself to sit in discomfort. You must rewire your nervous system to see silence not as awkward, but as strategic. The person who speaks first loses. The person who explains loses. The person who cannot tolerate the weight of nothing being said is the person who hands you everything. Your coworker approaches you with a smile that does not reach their eyes. They ask if you are okay. You say nothing. You simply look at them with neutral curiosity. Within 30 seconds, they are telling you about office politics, about who said what, about their own paranoia. You never asked. They volunteered everything. This is the mirror of projection. When you offer no reaction, no validation, no emotional feedback, the human brain enters a state of pattern-seeking panic. We are hardwired to read faces, to predict behavior, to find meaning in the void. When you give them nothing, their dopamine system goes into overdrive searching for clues. And in that search, they project their own fears, their own guilt, their own hidden motivations onto your blank expression. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the parts of ourselves we refuse to acknowledge. When you become a mirror, people do not see you. They see themselves. The liar assumes you think they are lying. The cheater assumes you know they are cheating. The insecure person assumes you are judging them. And in their desperation to resolve this uncertainty, they start explaining things you never questioned. This is not manipulation. This is observation. You are simply refusing to play the social game of constant reassurance. You are not nodding along. You are not filling their silence with comfort. You are watching, listening, collecting data. Machiavelli understood that the prince must appear one way while operating another. But there is a deeper truth here. By appearing as nothing, you become everything they fear. Your silence is a Rorschach test. Whatever they see in it tells you exactly what lives in their mind. Here is your protocol. When someone is speaking to you, do not react immediately. Let 3 full seconds pass before you respond. Watch what they do in that gap. Do they backtrack? Do they over-explain? Do they get defensive? That is your answer. That is the truth they were hiding behind their words. You do not need to interrogate anyone. Just stop filling their need for validation. They will interrogate themselves. Watch a king enter a room. He does not rush. He does not fidget. He does not fill the air with nervous chatter. He moves like gravity itself, slow and inevitable. Now watch a servant, frantic energy, quick movements, talking before being asked. This is not about wealth or title. This is about neurobiology. High-status primates, whether gorillas or corporate executives, share one observable trait. They move slower. They speak less. They do not react to every stimulus in their environment. Why? Because the alpha does not fear the environment. The environment fears the alpha. When you operate from a place of power, you do not need to prove anything. You do not need to compete for attention. Attention comes to you. But most of you are operating from your amygdala. Someone asks you a question and you answer immediately. Someone challenges you and you defend instantly. Someone texts you and you respond within seconds. This is the behavior of prey. This is the behavior of someone who believes their value decreases with every moment of silence. Here is what you do not understand. When you slow down, when you pause before speaking, when you let the room wait for your response, you are not being rude. You are recalibrating their nervous system to your rhythm. You are forcing their mirror neurons to sync with your frequency. They feel the weight of your presence because you are not scattering your energy like a frightened animal. The Stoics called this controlling your impressions. Machiavelli would call it strategic positioning. I call it the anchor. You become the fixed point. Everyone else adjusts to you. Tomorrow, practice this. When someone asks you a question, count to 3 before responding. When someone tries to rush you, move slower. When a meeting starts, be the last to speak. Watch what happens. Watch how the room leans forward when you finally open your mouth. Watch how your words suddenly carry more weight than the person who has been talking for 10 minutes. This is the anchor of perceived status. You must slow down to speed up. You must speak less to be heard more. You must become the gravitational center that pulls everything toward you. Not through force, but through the sheer density of your presence. You are in a meeting. 7 people around a table. Everyone is competing to be heard. Ideas fly, egos clash. Voices rise. And you sit there perfectly still, saying nothing. They think you are disengaged. They are wrong. You are hunting. Information is the currency of power, and every word you speak is a spent coin. When you declare your position, you lose flexibility. When you share your strategy, you create opponents. When you reveal your knowledge, you lose the advantage of being underestimated. The loudest person in the room is not the most powerful, they are the most exposed. Sun Tzu wrote that all warfare is based on deception. The greatest deception is not lying. It is invisibility. When you remain silent in group settings, you become a ghost. People forget you are there, and when people forget you are there, they stop performing for you. They stop filtering. They reveal alliances. They expose weaknesses. They tell you exactly who will betray whom before the war even starts. Here is what happens neurologically. Humans have a limited attention span for threat assessment. We can only track so many social competitors at once. When you do not compete for airtime, you fall off their radar. Their prefrontal cortex deprioritizes you as a threat. Meanwhile, you are cataloging everything. Who interrupts whom? Who defers to whom? Who makes eye contact with whom when a controversial point is raised? Machiavelli advised the prince to have the eyes of a hawk and the patience of a serpent. This is that principle in action. You are not participating. You are collecting intelligence. And when the time comes to strike, when it actually matters, you have information they do not even know they gave you. Robert Greene calls this the law of strategic absence. Your presence becomes more powerful through your silence. When you finally do speak, after 30 minutes of observation, the room goes quiet. Why? Because scarcity creates value. Because they have been wondering what you think. Because your opinion has not been diluted by constant broadcasting. Here is your tactical protocol. In your next group setting, set a rule. You do not speak until at least 3 other people have revealed their positions. You watch the board before you place your piece. You let them spend their coins while you accumulate yours. And when the meeting ends, you know who is an ally, who is a fool, and who is dangerous. They know nothing about you. This is the tactical ghost. You must become invisible to become invincible. You are negotiating a salary. They make an offer. It is insulting. You look at them. You say nothing. The silence expands like a living thing. 10 seconds. 20 seconds. 30. You watch their face change, the shift in their chair, the clearing of throat, the nervous laugh. And then they speak. They raise the offer. You never said a word. This is the pressure cooker effect. Silence creates a physical sensation of social weight that most people are neurologically incapable of carrying. When conversation stops, cortisol floods their system. Their heart rate increases. Their palms sweat. The social animal inside them interprets silence as exile, as rejection, as death. And they will do anything to make it stop. You must understand something. Most people are weak. They have never sat in discomfort. They have never trained themselves to tolerate psychological tension. Their entire life is built on avoiding awkwardness, seeking approval, keeping the peace. So when you refuse to relieve them, when you let the pressure build, their nervous system goes into crisis mode. This is not cruelty. This is strategy. Every second of silence you can endure is a second they cannot. You are playing a game of psychological chicken, and whoever speaks first reveals their desperation. In sales, this is called the pregnant pause. In interrogation, this is called tactical silence. In power dynamics, this is called domination. Here is what Machiavelli understood. The prince must be feared more than loved, because fear is more reliable. People will betray love. They will not betray fear. And silence, wielded correctly, is the quietest form of intimidation. Practice this starting today. When someone makes a request, do not answer immediately. Let the silence stretch until it hurts. Breathe slowly. Maintain eye contact. Watch them crumble. They will negotiate against themselves. They will lower their demands. They will compromise just to escape the unbearable weight of your non-reaction. This is the pressure cooker effect. You must learn to sit in the fire while others burn. There is a person at your workplace who rarely speaks. When they do, everyone listens. There is someone in your social circle who never reveals too much. Everyone wants their attention. This is not accident. This is neuroscience weaponized. Familiarity breeds contempt because the brain stops prioritizing predictable stimuli. When you are always available, always talking, always explaining yourself, you become background noise. The reticular activating system in the brain filters you out. You become furniture. But when you withhold, when you remain a mystery, you trigger something primal, curiosity. Dopamine is not the pleasure chemical, it is the seeking chemical. It fires not when we get what we want, but when we anticipate getting it. When you remain unpredictable, when people cannot figure you out, their brain releases dopamine, trying to solve the puzzle of you. They become addicted to decoding you. And because they rarely get resolution, the addiction intensifies. This is why the oracle speaks in riddles, why the guru sits in silence, why the master teaches through questions, not answers. Scarcity creates value. Mystery creates obsession. Your words should be rare enough that when you speak, people lean in like you are delivering prophecy. Machiavelli wrote that men desire what they cannot have and despise what is freely given. You have been giving yourself away for free, your thoughts, your time, your validation. You have been an open book in a world that only values sealed scrolls. Here is your protocol. Stop explaining yourself. Stop oversharing. Stop being so available. Let people wonder what you think. Let them work to earn your perspective. When you finally speak after hours of silence, watch how the room changes. Your words will not be debated. They will be received like commandments. This is the aura of the enigma. You must become the question. Everyone is trying to answer. Someone insults you in public. Your blood boils. Your ego screams for vengeance. Defend yourself. Correct the record. Make them pay. This is the moment that separates children from kings. The child reacts. The king calculates. Your ego wants to defend your reputation. It wants everyone to know the truth. It wants validation, acknowledgement, respect. But the strategist knows something the ego does not. Silence is the ultimate shield. When you engage with criticism, you give it life. When you defend yourself, you signal that their words have power over you. When you argue, you descend to their level and lose the high ground. Machiavelli understood that the greatest threat to power is not your enemies. It is your own narcissistic need to be seen as virtuous, as right, as superior. That need makes you predictable. It makes you controllable. Your enemies will bait you with insults because they know you cannot resist the urge to defend yourself. And while you are busy arguing, they are maneuvering. This is shadow work. Carl Jung taught that what you resist persists. Your ego is afraid of being misunderstood because it believes your value comes from other people's perception. But the strategist knows that perception is temporary. Power is permanent. Let them think you are weak. Let them underestimate you. Let them spread rumors while you build empires in the dark. Here is the brutal truth. No one actually cares about your reputation as much as you do. They will forget the insult in a week. But you will remember who insulted you. And when you have accumulated enough power in silence, when you have positioned yourself strategically while they were busy talking, you will not need to defend yourself. Your results will speak. Your position will speak. Your silence will have been the greatest argument you never made. This is the death of the ego. You must kill the part of you that needs to be right more than it needs to win. You must override the narcissistic impulse to argue. You must become comfortable being misunderstood, being underestimated, being invisible. Because while they are celebrating their small victory of words, you are building something they cannot touch. This is how you move in the shadows. This is how you win wars without firing a shot. You let them think they have defeated you, and then you show them what defeat actually looks like. You are no longer the person who begs for a seat at the table. You are the table. But I must warn you, the real enemy is not the person sitting across from you. The real enemy is the part of you that still craves to be understood by small minds. There is a pathetic, shivering child inside you that thinks if you just explain yourself one more time, they will finally see your worth. Kill that child. He is a liability. He is the leak in your hull that will sink your ship before you ever see the horizon. Most people will close this video and immediately go back to their noisy, frantic lives. They will keep talking. They will keep complaining. They will keep revealing their souls to anyone who listens for 5 seconds. Let them. Their noise is your advantage. While they are busy projecting, you are busy observing. While they are vibrating with nervous energy, you are as still as a predator in the high grass. This is not about being shy. This is about being calculated. It is about the cold, clinical understanding that your energy is a finite resource. Do not waste it on those who have not earned your voice. Your silence must become a weapon. Your silence must become a fortress. Your silence must become the very thing that makes weak people uncomfortable in your presence. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am the master of my silence. Let those words be the last thing you say for a while. Let the world babble. Let them chatter and gossip and compete for attention like starving dogs fighting over scraps. You are not a dog. You are a wolf. And wolves do not explain themselves to sheep. There is a higher level of strategy that most minds cannot comprehend. Those insights exist behind the join button. Most will not click it because they are afraid of what they might find in the shadows of their own mind. That is the point. The elite do not walk the path of the majority. If this opened your eyes to the power you have been throwing away, then you know what to do. Subscribe if you have not. The world is loud, but the king is quiet. I will see you in the shadows.